Welcome everyone to this week's IT News and Bits Tonight live show here, summarizing all the more major things we spotted browsing through the daily news every now and then. As usual, while we wait for people to tune in a little bit, what have we done here on YouTube this week since the last week? So there were more laptop nodes, Intel just doubling caches and buffers. Stupid, one more open source patch. Yeah, took a look on the Grub 2 stuff there for EFI, secret magic disabling integrated GPU stuff. And wait a second, why is here 1 week, 5 days this week, something? What is with this stream? Whatever is up with YouTube here. Anyway, then we drove through Germany. Global warming, had some fun at my parents, finally switching to a Lenovo ThinkPad there, obviously, and for a couple of months for long-term testing. Huge shout out for Lenovo supporting us like this, and why we can't have nice things off in 2019 when here's something. In the meantime, I even forgot myself what it was about. Anyway, we finally, our rendition Verity arrived and we could finally enjoy Quake in the highest quality possible in 1997 or so, as amazing anti-aliased and texture filtered as I've never seen it before. Apple T2 NVMe stuff, people did some reverse engineering and some progress. Either Apple is totally incompetent or just plain evil. Still looking for you comments to decide, and we also had some more not fun with Rust. With that, it is time to start this news with some people tuning in. So the internet broke again, recurring theme here on our channel here. As per usual, as also the other week, we had Cloudflare, and I think this time was it. So last week it was Verizon's BGP mishap there, misrouting all the stuff, and we also had Cloudflare here, CDN partially down a day this week. The rest of the internet apparently asked Verizon to hold its beer. You see, we are not the only one with sarcasm here. Other news sites have the same impression, and so Cloudflare went down again with half an hour yesterday, or so the day before that day. But the short version is that the firewall regular expression rule targeting malicious JavaScript spiked the firewall CPU usage. So yeah, 2019, when your firewall is running JavaScript. Hold my lemonade. Anyway, yeah, so recurring stuff, also Office 365 and stuff. Recurring theme here, why we are not the greatest fan of having everything in the cloud. Run your stuff yourself, because as you see, when you don't run the stuff yourself, then you don't have it. It's not under your control, and stuff can go down left and right. Not that we had our own outage, hold my beer, but that is probably a story for another day. If it's not failing Vodafone cable, but today we have 0 drop frames. In other news, Google keeps still a list of everything you ever brought on Gmail, even if you delete all your emails. So raise your hand if you are surprised. Allegedly here, according to this news site, but certainly neither you nor I am surprised. And so this also means, of course, but this should also come to nobody's surprise, that Gmail, that Google is parsing and analyzing, certainly artificial intelligently, your emails, and parsing and collecting data mining everything they can out of your email. So you buy something with your Gmail account. By the way, fun fact, I have an extremely old Gmail account from certainly the first year or second. They had it in operation, how long back in the day that even was, but I never used it for anything seriously. So this was always, for the whole decade plus, I only used it as test email. You know, I need to test my own email server, or my own email server is down, or I tinker with my own email server, spam filtering and stuff, and sending things, or my ISP is down, like amazing or not cable. Vodafone cable. But anyway, so only for this kind of stuff I use Gmail, and I would suggest you do the same. Of course, again, recurring theme, if you use free services, they need to finance themselves somehow, and usually this means data mining and selling all your data. And Google and tech companies have been under fire recently. Of course, the tech people said this for a decade, and then it needs to escalate like it does in 2019 for general public media to take attention. And then everyone is surprised and outraged. How could they do this? Yeah, but I told you so, right? But whatever. In other news, Amazon Alexa keeps your data with no expiration date. Wait a second, did we not have just? Yeah, so no matter if you give it to Google or Amazon. And also, fun fact, I use this personal assistant extremely little, only like for testing. And even then, the personal assistants usually do some nonsense. So for example, I use like Siri, which by the way, I'm phasing out my iPhone anyway. Right here, I'm mostly on amazing Samsung Galaxy S10e, not paid advertisement, just fun fact. And I use Siri only very little, like 5 phrases, like call my wife. It's probably like 90% of the time I said Google, Siri, call my wife, or FaceTime audio, my wife, I guess, I used. And even then, Siri got it wrong every 7th time or something. So like, yeah, like 10%. And you really wonder if it's the only thing you tell Siri. And then and what did Siri do? Every 10% it called someone else, like some totally different name, like some Jeffrey Mohammed or something, similar name to that in my contacts and stuff. And usually what verse is your personal assistant when you need to have the button over the cancel hang up button, because sometimes it calls like business contacts like that. And once in business contact, I was probably not fast enough, like I cancelled in like half a second's time instead of a 10th of a second time, and it really FaceTimed them, and they even called back like, hey, you called me. Said, yeah, sorry, my assistant misunderstood me. It's like, yeah. Anyway, but so I really wonder why people need to use assistants so much. Leave me in the comments below, do you use this personal assistants? If so, for what? And how do they work for you? And comments in the audience. That's the only thing I use Google is YouTube, because yeah, thanks for subscribing and watching, and highly appreciate it. And alternative at the moment, and 1 or 2 years to completely move from Gmail. So yeah, also fun fact, as much as most creators and people and news are bashing Bixby, which of course I'm not using Bixby certainly, because not even wanting to give all my data and waste my time with this. But the one thing that is pretty cool, and I was surprised, is use it as an alarm clock. So you can set in Samsung Galaxy stuff. And this is like by far the most useful thing I've encountered in this personal assistant space. So when you go to your clock here somewhere, and you go to your alarms here, and there you have as an alarm on this Samsung stuff, you have here alarm sound Bixby alarm. And that is actually pretty useful, because then it wakes you up with this Bixby voice, says, yeah, hi, good morning, the weather is like this, sunny whatsoever, 18 degrees. And a summary of the news is, well, of course the summary sucks a little bit, because like on MSNBC, Donald Trump tweeted this biggest piece of nonsense, thank you very much. And then like on Fox News is like blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, thank you Bixby for quoting Fox News. That is exactly what I was looking for in the morning. But otherwise, this is by far the most useful assistant feature, beside maybe Bixby don't quote Fox News, but whatever. Anyway, so yeah, and shares the 2 years. So companies, and so not only do you spend all your money, in contrast to Google, where you usually don't necessarily spend so much money unless you buy a Nexus or Pixel phone, but at Amazon you even spend all your hard-earned money, and then on top of this they sell you all your data to their advertisement partners and whatnot, or insurances and banks and whatever, allegedly. Anyway, or do they have proof? Deadline answers was Vice President Yada sent a response, told only Remove them, that Amazon keeps transcripts and voice recordings indefinitely and only removes them if they are manually deleted by the user. So yeah, maybe you want to go to your Amazon accounts, data history, something, and I think Lewis Rossman might have had a video where you could even play those recordings or something, which is really, yeah. So this is why am I not using this voice assistant? Yeah, exactly because of these reasons. I also don't need an assistant that randomly calls random people from my address book. In other news, the Senate passes cybersecurity bill to decrease grid digitalization, moves towards manual controls there. 2019, with all these insecurities, recurring theme here, security Intel, Linux kernel, you name it, every other day, and stuff is so insecure that even there your infrastructure, your electricity, water, and yeah, the problems of course, even like in Germany with Siemens controls and stuff, the stuff is so outdated and been there for 10 or 15, if not 20 years. Sometimes when I had my technical drafting training there, apprenticeship in the end of the 1990s, stuff was connected with V90 modem, right? So you had your climate control there for whole building and heating and stuff dial in with the V90 modem and fun stuff like this. I would not be surprised if half of the installation is still there. And yeah, this is also why stuff needs to be more secure and why I'm dreaming about my own vaporware microkernel, because you have seen in Linux kernel recurring theme. Even if you say, hold my beer, run this with Linux, yeah, when you run this with Linux, your electricity grid, your nuclear power plant, do you really want to trust this on Linux? With even there, with 10,000 eyes reading the source code and stuff, and then having security vulnerabilities every other now and then. So yeah, not even really sure if I want to run this with Linux, but your mileage may vary. We certainly need really much more high security stuff out of there. Speaking about sold data, Kenia said hold your beer. This is in German, as usual, my on-the-fly translation service here. Data from 11.5 million customers leaked from a provider on the black market. PISA, Kenyan system for cashless payment. Their business model was communication from Safaricom to pass on data, and now they said that people like employees from the provider have passed this personal information from 11.5 million, leaked those, and it's heading to court. So yeah, if you have all your data, and recurring theme here, to treat your personal data more precious and not put it all over in all digital assistants, and even yeah, all these cashless systems. Even in Europe they are pushing this more, a little bit skeptical. Stuff gets hacked so much, and I have to confess that my impression is that we don't really have infrastructure systems, secure systems, in a way that we are even in a position to store all the personal data at the government, for text database, for election database. Even if you run this with the latest and greatest state-of-the-art open source Linux stuff, I don't have the impression that this is secure enough. And leave me in the comments below as usual, what is your impression? Because what you store in databases is just a fingertip away of someone to copy it or break in. Speaking of top security, top VPNs secretly owned by Chinese firms. Nearly a third of top VPNs are secretly owned by Chinese companies, with other owners are based in countries with weak or no privacy laws, potentially putting users at risk, security researchers warns. And says research firm VPN Pro. I slightly wonder why the security research firm is named VPN Pro. Anyway, the study shows that top 97 VPNs are run by just 27 parent companies, many of which are based in countries with lax privacy laws and so on. So yeah, if you run VPN maybe to your own office, data center, home, not really sure But well, I never had the impression that this is a good idea to use all of those pseudo, I don't know, pseudo professional, but not really professional, because I had the impression everyone and his dog and his kitchen sink in the meantime was running a VPN company. So not really, and many security people already said for many years that it's not a good idea to pass everything through a central node, because there it's just a central point where people can sit and snoof up all your data. But of course, you should in general run most stuff over HTTPS, and at least you people, men in the middle, usually should not be able to see much of your communication. But in any case, if you thought this is super secure, maybe you find all your data being analyzed by Chinese companies or government. Speaking about central stuff, millions of websites went down across the internet today after a massive Cloudflare outage. I have the feeling this was similar to the other news. Not sure if this was, maybe I wanted to replace another link with this one. Anyway, recurring theme, hey, they have a reel-to-reel there in Pulp Fiction. Why is here Pulp Fiction thing waiting for? Anyway, animated GIFs of 2019 that have nothing to do with the news and steal my attention. But yeah, just like with VPNs, do not centralize this infrastructure. The web was designed for non-centralized infrastructure, and in my opinion, this makes totally no sense. I have no idea why people desperately need to centralize everything. I think even small websites like for app development, I'm really wondering a little bit about this news, because I have it hard to believe that India had no other CPUs. I'm pretty sure there must have been ARM CPUs already manufactured by some companies. Of course, I've not researched this, but in any case, it is good to see that there is more RISC-V stuff. Whoever made this, so the Indian Institute of Technology, the IIT, has released a software development kit. I slightly wonder what should the software development kit be, some Gentoo, Debian or T2, but anyway, SHakti is based on open source RISC-V instruction set and architecture, and was funded by the Indian Ministry of Electronics Information Technology and so on. And three-stage, they write here E-class, three-stage in-order processor. This is of course not high performance. In-order meaning like Atom and previously Pentium P54 and stuff. Was it in order? Anyway, probably Pentium Pro was the first out of order, right? Anyway, so this is of course, as they write here, robotic platforms, motor controls, etc. C-class, 32-bit, 5-stage in-order microcontroller for gigahertz, so like VR territory of yesterday, mid-range application workloads, very low power. As you see, they actually have here really many, up to 64-bit. I slightly wonder how they could stomp here so many CPU tiers out of nothing maybe, but slightly wondering how they could have had here so many. But anyway, you see quite of stuff coming, not only from India, certainly also China, Nvidia and Sci-Hive and whatnot. In more insecurity news, security floor is in popular smart home stuff. The recurring theme here, probably should have sorted this next time, more sorting of the news. Recurring theme stuff is insecure. Maybe this stuff even running Linux there, Linux for Bluetooth, but I'm speculating, no idea if this is Linux or not. But in recurring theme, stuff is insecure. Also some drop frames. Stuff is insecure, maybe don't do this. I really wonder why people need to Internet of Thing everything. For me, it is clear that this stuff is insecure, would never run this here. And the problem is also that people quickly, without much of a budget, rush it together, like hold my beer in between one project or the other, without a huge security or tech record. And this stuff is just waiting to be hacked. And again, this stuff is usually not very updated. We also need real secure update infrastructure, because there will always be some security vulnerability, no matter how amazingly secure you program this. There needs to be a reliable way of updating this. But even then, of course, remote updating has security risks. So all of this stuff is really not easy. And in my opinion, we need to increase all the software security and infrastructure by a magnitude to even start doing this connected Internet of shit stuff, because as you see, just as I predict here and recurring theme, stuff is insecure each and every week. Comments in the audience, it took 1 to 2 years to completely move from they had this already. After 2 years, he created a new account with another provider. Who? Anyway, so yeah, leave in the comments below, what do you think about Internet of shit stuff or Internet of things stuff? Is it amazing? Is it not? Is it waste of time or something? In other news, you might have seen this on your favorite Linux news site. There is some patch for FSGSBASE, another new instruction, because x86 in 2019 can't not have enough instructions. And one of those new instructions is FSGSBASE, an instruction to load a new FSGS segment selector there. And this is potentially allowing for higher performance in some use cases, specifically maybe Java or Wine or other stuff. And apparently this was already scheduled for the next merge window, but was pulled here just next week. Why do I bring this up? This is just here the recurring theme, why I want my microkernel and why I really wonder how Linux is developing, because this here is, you're right, FSGSBASE series turned out to be to have serious bugs. So this is after years of development, after multiple series. It now has, while already being merged in the x86 maintenance tree, has serious bugs that are still an open issue with, which is not fully understood yet. You see also x86 in 2019 so complicated that after months, if not years development, people, the maintainers, certainly also Intel flagship developers there, don't even fully understand the issue yet. So complicated this x86 stuff became. And the confidence in those changes has become close to zero, especially as the test cases which have been shipped with its series were obviously never run before sending the final series. So what he's saying, Thomas Gleixner here, is there was a test. Imagine that in the Linux development there is a test suite, and when you run this on this merged targeted for the stable series, this test suite crashed with a segmentation fault. So people apparently, I guess at Intel, sent in changes for stable series, and they have not even run their own test suite in 2019. If this would be 1999, in 2019, I have no words anymore. This is why do I have this on this level. I already quoted this in another video yesterday. When we go here to kernel, I opened this here already the other day, and this is the most amazing patch here, 5.1.14 in 2019, when hotfixes are so urgent that there is a stable patch release for the Linux kernel that consists of 1 and 1 commit only, because of refining memory limit in TCP fragments, because the first fix was not fixed enough. So yeah, if you wondered, we can do security in Linux, then hold my beer. Comments in the audience, I had years worth of mail and the account to move over. Okay, that's for that. Think about moving myself now with my own open SMTPD server. I'm using combination of ProtoMail, personal and Office 3 for business. Amazing stuff. So ReactOS is a rip-up of the Microsoft research kernel, claims Microsoft kernel engineer. I have no insight in this. Maybe this is food, maybe not, I have no idea. So some Microsoft engineer apparently said that this ReactOS kernel contains macros here. They write here somewhere, they think it's a rip-off of the Microsoft research kernel that Microsoft licensed to universities. So I'm not sure. I knew Microsoft opened the source to some universities. It sounds just a little bit strange. They make it sound a little bit like the regular Windows kernel source code is maybe not the same as the Windows research kernel, so, because otherwise they would write here it's a rip-off of the Windows kernel, not of the Windows research kernel. Because they point here out research kernel, it sounds to me like the Windows sources for research Microsoft is sending to some universities under a non-disclosure agreement might not be the real thing, but if you have any inside knowledge, let me know. It sounds interesting in itself. So, of course, comments over the internet gone wild, like, no, ReactOS is a clean room, reverse engineering thing, maybe, maybe not, I have no inside knowledge. If you have any, leave it below. For me personally, in my opinion, Windows is so low quality with the Windows 32 APIs and stuff that I would not even in an open source version run this, so I have zero interest. I would rather run Dragonfly BSD or Haiku, if not Linux or OpenBSD, or fun stuff like this, because in my opinion, something like Haiku, like BOS, is a more clean architecture, and Windows, if you write a kernel that is 100% compatible with the Windows APIs, the Windows APIs already not nice and clean to start with, in my opinion. There's so much strange stuff. For example, even monitoring directories for changes they have like 3, the last time I checked, they had like 3 APIs for monitoring, like iNotify or like denotify for directory notify in Windows. They had like 3 APIs and all of them sucked. I think none of them guaranteed that you get all access. So if they have very high I/O load, you would maybe miss events. Then the APIs were all arcane and garbage, and you're not really that much interested in that. But of course, it is an amazing feat in itself to write an open source Windows compatible kernel. But in other news, Bitcoin's energy consumption equals that of Switzerland. And I pointed this out in multiple streams already, that I'm not the greatest fan of cryptocurrencies for those energy wasting, because this blockchain stuff and transaction validation stuff is consuming so many cycles to compute, usually preferable on GPUs, if not ASICs, application specific integrated circuits, for the high performance of it. And even then people run whole storage facilities full of Bitcoin mining equipment, which in my opinion is a total waste of energy. And we have seen in other IT news from another month that people barely use it. It's mostly used for speculation. So in my opinion, in a recurring climate crisis theme of Fridays for Future, we can really not afford, we as in humankind on this planet Earth cannot afford such a waste of electricity. And if you think about this, we consume, the whole world is apparently consuming just for Bitcoin mining as much energy as the whole country like Switzerland is consuming for all the people living there. In my opinion, this is crazy, total waste of everything. And then we are not even using this for anything but pure speculation, because Bitcoin is so fluctuating and unstable, and yet one Bitcoin is in the meantime so much worse in real world's money that people don't use it to order a pizza, but just 95 or 98% for speculation. And we burn so much energy that we could use for other stuff, even like food, heating, cooling, and then even sea salt, desalting plants and stuff for people for drinking water, but we burn it on a cryptocurrency. In my opinion, this is totally crazy. This is why I'm totally not supporting cryptocurrency. Never spent a single electron for this, never went into this. And maybe you should also not, but leave me in the comments below what you think about this crypto mining. Also, they can come and go, right? With all the other alternatives, often insecurities are found and so on. So even if you invest money and energy in this stuff can go away. You have seen also, although Bitcoin is on a new all-time high, it was also recently plateauing quite a bit. So even from that money speculation point, maybe not the very most amazing investment. And as usual, I'm interested to hear what you think. So comments below, what do you think about all this cryptocurrency hype and waste of energy for that matter? And we can't read this news. What? So, damn it. In other news, what was this news? Customer service prepare to lose your mind. What? All right. So this was an article that I can't show you now because on this, I think on my other PC it loaded because some tracking token. But there you see, you can't have me read this stuff if you hide it behind a paywall. But summary is, living with apps has its perks. Right, show up in minutes and couriers bring food to you, which by the way, I'm also not supporting food delivery app shit. Just go around the corner, enjoy the fresh air and meet your friends and family in real life and not have food delivered to you, but your mileage may vary. Wouldn't otherwise deliver. It's all fine until something goes wrong. This is just what I've also made a video about Apple's support in the iTunes Connect stuff for apps, which by the way, fun fact, after having 90% of the uploads going to dev null there in the data nirvana on Apple right now, it's working for us after escalating with all the phone calls I posted here and stuff, and amazing or not support emails. So yeah, even when you are a customer at Apple and they even earn 30% of your hundreds of thousands of revenue, even then you get shit service at Apple. And then imagine if your car sharing app stops working. Good luck trying to call Instagram. Imagine you're an influencer on Instagram and you have some issue with that app, or calling Google for Gmail. Each time I try to call a company like Google, good luck getting service there. And I wanted to include this here. As usual, a little bit motivating people to think. And first of all, maybe we should migrate more away from this big to fail services, and in other times also your local business, right? Your local business and friends and family and your local provider and local hoster, and don't host it on AWS, but your local data center company maybe, because there you get service, and good luck calling AWS and discussing your outages there. But yeah, the problem really is all the flying high apps might look fancy and whatnot, but then when you need service, even at Apple, yeah. Fun fact, I called Microsoft. This is of course funny, another anecdote. Once when we started our scanner business with drivers, initially we made train drivers in 2005, which was by the way a fail because nobody wants to pay for drivers, scanner drivers from a third party. But Microsoft Office had a bug in 2005, 2006. It crashed with some scanning with the Train API with our drivers. So I really called Microsoft in 2006 or so, said, hey, hello, we are a developer and your Microsoft Office is using the Train API in ways that are not correct and result in a crash of your Word, I think it was. And they only wanted to open a bug at Microsoft, so they wanted to make this a paying support case. So they asked us to pay $300 or euro, something of that sort, maybe $299 or something. And if it would in the end be a bug in Word, they would refund us the money. But we were not interested in Word. As I said, we never used Microsoft Office in our company. We always used OpenOffice. We only wanted to report a bug for our customers. And Microsoft asked us to pay to process this bug. This is really crazy and out of their mind. And just to show you, of course, we said, yeah, thank you very much. If you're not interested in fixing your own bug, then goodbye and good luck. And I think the next release of Office actually worked then with our Train driver, but this was just an data point how big companies are handling customer bugs. Another time, the second time in my life I called Microsoft was for this touch disease that I made also already 2 if not 3 videos, because this bloody Surface 3 has touch disease and touchscreen is not working normally. And I called Microsoft. So my fault was I was using this with Linux. So get this, because I wanted an x86 tablet, for a generic tablet for use with Linux, because I certainly just can't use it on an iPad for testing and software development. And I used it with Linux, and in the beginning the touch didn't use, maybe because I didn't have the right driver or I didn't try it enough or whatever. I didn't really care enough. So I used it a year without touch, and this is why I noticed relatively late that I had touch disease and the touch was an even defect. And then already another year went by, I calibrated it, it was a little bit okay and so on. And then my mistake was that only after 2.5 years I called Microsoft that, look, now the touch really doesn't work at all anymore. Maybe you can do something about this. And then they looked at it and says, yeah, but now it's like 2.5 years old and now it's out of warranty and we can replace it for you for like 700, 800, 900 euro. Swap it, like, thank you very much, I don't want it. because you sell me some crappy manufactured with impurities, with fused contacts, loosening, whatever. I still don't know. If you have insights, what is a touch disease crap versus NTRIC digitizers? If you have inside knowledge, is it laminated stuff coming off with heat? Is it impurities like some oxidation, like with some NVIDIA ball grid GPU stuff, like dirty solder, cracking solder points, because it's usually just one strap not working. So, and it's a manufacturing defect. 10,000 people have it, like 10, 20, 30, 50%, I don't know, really many people have this. And then big companies, you think you buy something at Microsoft and get top class service, but no, they are even worse than Apple. I guess at Apple eventually you probably would have an extended warranty repair program, but not at Microsoft. So don't buy Surfaces. I certainly never will buy a Surface again. And just to share some regular IT office stuff. So with this, it's time to call it a day. It's probably good that this news are still this experiment of weekly news. Still not sure if this is the most amazing, successful format. But as usual, leave me in the comments below what you like and dislike. I need to go home and cook. My wife already messaged me where I am and why do I need to live stream. So with this, have a good night. I hope you enjoyed this and learned something from all the insecurity news and VPNs owned by Chinese companies. Don't forget to share, like and subscribe. I hope to see you soon for all the programming and product reviews, and I hope to see you soon for all of those videos to come. And yeah, so this video was from the ThinkPad T490S. But yeah, so the stream yesterday, the long rust, and by the way, people could have pointed this out. I did not know that this, by the way, I wanted to continue building Firefox here. You could have pointed out that the video was stuttering so much yesterday that it was purely due to CPU load and overheating Intel CPU pre-yesterday's Core i7. And if you point this out, because I was compiling Rust yesterday, Rust and Cargo, and I already used 4, so the Mac Mini Core i7 had 4 cores with hyper-threading, so 8 threads, and I used only 4 threads, so not the hyper threads, and I thought that is enough for OBS to still do hardware video encode on the GPU, but apparently it is not. Maybe the thermal budget, maybe the GPU is throttling down, because this is like not really half of the load, because of course the hyper-threaded threads do not have as much CPU cycles as the, because it's like, it's not double, right? It's only like some 25% faster or something. So I thought I can get away with this, but when I watched the stream myself, I realized, damn, this really is too slow. So maybe a nice indication for me here to start here the compilation of Firefox, just to have some indication of what kind of performance we get. So with that, see you soon, probably tomorrow or something. Have a good night, and till next video.